evening, everybody. Welcome to the Ladies First discussion panel. Our topic today is She Came, She Saw, She Conquered. Can I get a round of applause for the ladies? Alright, so today we're just going to be discussing a couple questions, but before we get into that, I am joined here on stage with a bunch of superstars, amazing people. So can we start with this side here? I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves, starting with the far right here, Olivia.
Sure, so my name is Olivia Diamond. I head up the talent division at Shed Creative Agency, and we are a division of Universal Music. We do a bunch of cool stuff, booking shows, working on experiences for brands, and doing a lot of branded content.
Amazing, everybody give it up for Olivia. Glad to have you with us. First, my girl Keysha Freshh of Sorority. So these three ladies here are part of Sorority. I'll let you get into it.
Thank you guys, that was dope. As you mentioned, I'm Keysha Freshh.
Haviah Mighty.
I'm Lex Leosis.
And we make up the Sorority. We're from Toronto. Basically, we're just three dope ass chicks who's rapping, spitting. We're just kind of taking the music world by storm, if I do say so myself. So, yeah.
We'll get into this side here. Got?
Yo, what up, everybody? I'm Contra. We're from Cartel Madras. I'm a Boshi. We're gonna be really candid, say some whack shit if you want us to.
You keep it 100 on this side.
I got my own mic here. Well, when Benny asked me to do a panel on women in the music business, I thought, if there's something I know about, that's me. That's my poor attempt at humor. Anyway, I'm Trey Mills. I'm a music producer, artist manager, and happy to be here. I started years ago working with Melanie Fiona and some other really cool people, and live here in Calgary, and thanks for having me on the panel.
We are very glad to have you. So we're gonna get into some questions. Yes, everybody? Yeah. All right. So the first question here, and we're just gonna do this like I'll read out the question, and then just let me know if you guys want to say something, however you want to do this. Okay. So panel question number 1: how can we advance and support the Canadian hip hop scene for females?
So we've been talking about this a lot recently because we think there is a huge issue of talent recognition disparity in Canada and in Calgary. And I think a big part of it is locally we need to be putting good, solid female acts up on stages, opening for people that are coming in that are big deals, that are like people that we want to see, so that younger female artists or newer female artists can look to that and be like, right, there's opportunities for us here, because in general there aren't. That's just a fact.
Okay, so our next question is, how has the hip-hop industry changed in the past 5 years, and what do you predict will happen in the next 5 to 10 years? We can start with you, if you have anything to say, Olivia.
Well, I think that a lot more people now are noticing when there is a lack of females on the bill. Like, I think it was about 3 years ago, they started looking at festival posters and crossing out any acts that didn't have female performers, and then there would be, for some festivals, 1 or 2 acts left. And so as more people started talking about it, I have seen some promoters and bookers starting to address it, which is really nice to see.
In the past 5 years, I mean, I've seen hip hop change just a lot, period. And I would say that it's weird because hip hop has actually become very, it's not been in favor of female artists, and a lot of people will disagree because they'll be like, well, we have Cardi and Nicki, and then I was like, yeah, when I grew up, I had Foxy, Missy, Kim, Queen Latifah, Lauryn Hill. I had a lot more female artists and a wide variety. Like, I can, if I wanted to look for the sexiness, I go to Kim and Foxy, but if I wanted to hear that Queen, Big Sis, I'll go to Latifah and Lauryn. There was a variety to choose from when I was growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s. And so now it's like there's only one image, one representation, and it's like 2 at a time, slow down. So I actually think that it's become more like we've been kind of kicked out a little bit more in the past 5 years, if I'm honest.
And I kind of want to add to that a little bit too. It's like I remember when I was coming up, like I had management initially, and I remember them telling me like, yo, like you can, meaning like hip hop audience, they only let one rap chick in at a time. So like it's Nicki right now, so you gotta wait like X amount of years since you're a rap chick. I was told that. So like 100, like that's what it is.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely something that I would resonate with as well. I feel like in the past 5 years, I've noticed me becoming more of like, I guess, the token, whether it's me in a sorority or me as a solo act. I'm like that token chick on shows, right? And like, it's both an extreme negative and a positive. I think the positive is that I can hopefully shift perspective by exceeding usually what is that lowered expectation, which is she's probably not gonna be that good or she's gonna be a singer. Right, thank you. So I try to exceed that expectation and I try to turn what is a negative into a positive, but the negative is that there's these lowered expectations. And the fact that like for you to even get the opportunity, you know, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are performing that you can have a bill with like 20 mediocre guys and then like to cut through, you really have
They all have the same style.
Right, well it's possible to put on a show where like, you don't have to think too hard about the male acting you book, but I find there's this risk that comes with promoting and booking female acts, and I'm you know, with the crew and even as a solo act, I think the things that we're doing are hopefully creating that shift. And I guess maybe it's a resurgence of the change, right? Like, because we had a lot of options before with a lot of different female artists, and then there was a dip, and then it was kind of like Krayshawn and stuff like that. People were like, we really weren't fucking with. And now I'm hoping this is the start of like the resurgence of more. Right now it's kind of in that like only one female could make it thing, and like so I'm hoping we can kind of push out of that and like diversify that and get back to like several women being nominated for Grammys.
Well, and like I feel like historically we've been pinned against each other, and I think that's why groups like everybody that's on stage right now are so important, that we lift each other up and not put each other down, and that panels like this and shows like this are so important. Because we can help each other, we can use each other's resources, we could book each other for shows, travel together. All of those things are really important too.
Well, kind of echoing what you guys are saying, what I've noticed is because there's such a lack of, you know, someone being brave enough to be like, yeah, this group is really good, you open for the biggest artists coming through. Women are pushed into like only all-female lanes all the time, right? And it's like, that's cool, but like, well, that means we exist in this like cave forever, and we just like get big in our like little caves, and like years later we see like a Princess Nokia or like a cupcake, you know? There's like years, it's like, oh wow. And it's strange because as like we're doing the, okay, like we're booking here and there and figuring it out, and it's like, if there's another female rap act, then it's like their team versus our team, you know? They can't be like, well, you're both like really dope, whereas like Rich Homie Quan has like 20 dudes opening for them, half of whom are trash. Like, sorry, but like, no, but for real though, like, I like how like in the 90s women were allowed to have egos, were allowed to talk shit, and were allowed to beef with men and with other female artists. I like that, and in the past 5 years you could really see that hip-hop making music in general has become more accessible because of the internet and all that good stuff, but hip-hop has become less accessible for women because we're expected to constantly be positive and grateful and humble, which is just not the case if you're a rapper. You would never ask that of a male rapper. And so if you're a female rapper, just like don't take the bullshit and just plow through that, and then recognize there are going to be other female rappers with egos too, and of course there should be.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
I think about on the studio side, there's Kesha Lee, like Kaylee, and she recorded the Bad Bougie and some pretty heavy duty tracks, and I think way back to when I studied recording engineering, and my class was like all men, right? Like all guys. And so I don't know, maybe it's a question for you guys, if you see somebody like that, you know, that's a real mentor, like a modern day rock star, right? Like her Instagram is awesome and all of that. Hopefully we're gonna see more. We're definitely seeing like in LA, there's tons and tons of female top liners, songwriters, right? And producers, but now even engineers, and like some of the things that were traditionally always done by men. So I hope that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like hopefully that's just the beginning of more to come.
So thank you guys so much for your insightful answers.
I actually just wanted to build on that.
Sure.
That was like a really dope point, because she's actually a really dope engineer and is also a track girl, and a lot of really dope female engineers. It's also a thing where it's not safe to be a female engineer sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I went to school for audio engineering. Haviah, she audio engineers as well, and it's like, I've been in sessions by myself with guys, and they've, it's just not always a safe space. So it's like, we don't really want to put ourselves in those positions, so we kind of just step back. So I think that we have to kind of open the discussion a little bit more to why women don't want to be in those roles when there's a whole bunch of men in the studio and they think that they can try things, and so I think it's more like sometimes the safe space discussion has to extend to women being audio engineers. Keysha, she's really dope, and she's Little Uzi. She did all his records, and she is really dope, and a lot of women are looking at her like, I want to do that, but we want them to be safe as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Anything else? All right.
Maybe I could ask.
Sure.
What is that safe space? Like, what exactly does that mean, right? I've been in the studio with tons of people, and then there are a lot of things that I wouldn't think about that you're all thinking about. So it's great to talk about that stuff.
I mean, I feel like on a very basic
Keep it real.
on a very basic layman's term level, a safe space requires working on music based on the music. Only, and I think that there's a really big, and I get a lot of female artists that reach out to me and ask me questions through Instagram DM just because they see that I am an active artist and they have questions like, I'm working with this engineer and this happened, what should I do? And I often find like there's just always somebody else in control of their creative content or whatever their rollout is. And then there's always like this weird like, yeah, we talked on the phone and he cried because I said I didn't want to work with him anymore. And I'm like, just like these weird avenues that I'm like, this is not the music industry. This is a guy that's feeling you, or this is, you know what I'm saying? And I feel oftentimes that safe space is removed when the motives are ulterior and it's not strictly about creating the record. You get guys that come into the studio and that engineer, he's literally just building that song. He's helping you work on the lyrics. He's like, there's no other thing he's trying to possibly, do you know what I mean? So there's nothing to jade his opinion besides the music, the lyrics. And I find in my personal experience and in the experience of the women that reach out to me, that there's just too much ulterior energy. It's just the focus is elsewhere. They like you, so they'll work with you, but they're not telling you that. And you can hear it in the things that some of the women with a little bit less experience in the studios, with the things they say. Because I've been doing it for a long time, and I think that in itself is kind of like the basis of unsafe spaces, is people that are trying to build songs with you, but they're really trying to build something else.
And I think a big part of that too, maybe this is worth like a comment, is like as a male in that space, like if you ever see that, sometimes like as females, like we don't feel comfortable to be like, I'm gonna just call this out in the room because like that's uncomfortable, and like you kind of get blackballed from in the room after that. So it's like, as a guy, if you see something, maybe like pulling somebody aside and being like, hey, like this is super uncomfortable, can you not make comments like that? Or, if you just see anything funny, maybe just having like a talk or calling it out in the room, just like, hey man, and sometimes it's as simple as, yo, chill, that's it. You know what I mean? Because like that just says like, hey, we see you, and then like it's not cool, right?
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure of working with these beautiful ladies beside me, so I find a lot of the times with male engineers, I have to spend the first hour in which that I'm paying them, proving that I'm good enough to be in their session. And it pisses me off. And it makes me really mad because I've now paid them $50 to $100 for them to go back and forth, oh, like you're not close enough to the mic or you're not doing it. And it's just like, I've been in a session, I've recorded albums, I work with these guys all the time. Like, I know what I'm doing and this is how I want it. And I'm coming in here knowing that you're also an incredibly skilled engineer wanting to build something with you, a great record. And I have opinions and facts that matter to me that I would also like to share. So if you could hear me out and give me the space, I don't need to spend an hour trying to prove to you that I know what I'm doing.
Totally. There's just a huge imbalance of power in the studio where, like, the audio engineer who's supposed to be working with you ends up holding your fate in their hands. And you're terrified because you're worried that if you don't do things their way, they're gonna take it out. And if they're a professional, they shouldn't. And this also comes back into safe spaces because you should not be adjusting your craft because you're afraid of someone fucking with your product. That's insane. But also, like, for a lot of women, it's not everyone can or wants to be an audio engineer, but way more women need to be audio engineers because that's a huge part of us literally seizing the means of production.
How else do you guys think we can change that? Like, do you think that there's anything that artists can do sometimes to, like, push their way onto bills sometimes too? Because I know that like Betty's ear is open all the time for new talent and new artists, right? But sometimes it's like what you were saying, like sometimes we do feel like we need to be humble and very polite, but sometimes it's just like, sometimes you just need to catch Betty on the ones.
That's all this is Betty. For Betty Pound.
Sometimes you just gotta, like, get on the bill, right?
Okay, so here's something that I've been thinking about. We were away in Washington. We were away for like a 10-day music residency. We got to interact with like 6 other women in music, different genres. And a topic at the table was, for men, especially in hip hop, there is a call-out culture. There's a bit of policing. But I do think it makes everyone a bit more talented. I think it makes you all a bit better. I think as women, because there's so few of us in this genre, I sometimes I worry, it's like, how do we tell other women in this genre that we all have to be fucking good at it? Like, how do we be like, we all have to know what the fuck to rap about, we need to do it well. We can't just coast off our gender either, you know? And that makes you better at the genre. That makes more women who are lit at hip hop come to the top. How do you do that?
On the topic of, sorry, Dave.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to respond to that. Yeah, I think, I don't know how many, I've been in a lucky position. Like, I took singing lessons before I ever rapped. Like, I got exposed to, like, kind of the production aspect. And that's something that I feel has allowed me to take very full control of my solo releases. And I think sometimes, like, there's just a perception that it can't be done without help. And I think what I try to do in my day job, I work a lot on the quick, nothing special, but I try to, in my day job, when I talk to female artists that come in, I really try to sell the concept that DIY will take you wherever you need to go. I've met my management team, I've met the sorority, all of that stuff off of DIY, off of learning how to mix, master, engineer. I went to school for it, not something I think that anyone has to do, but definitely the ability to run my own live sound, to be able to engineer my own beats, that has led me to be in less detrimental positions or less positions that I feel where there are ulterior motives, because I can just separate and I can create the idea and then I can involve the right people. So I guess just to answer that question, I try to recommend and commend people that can just try to take it into your own hands, because there's a lot of resources out there. It costs $500 to get a setup that can allow you to create demos in your basement, and something like that can really allow you to bypass sometimes other people's opinions, other people's input. It allows you to create the idea that you actually had here and then manifest it by meeting those right people. So for me, I'm just really big advocate of, especially for women, for DIY, because when you have a scenario where there's a male or a female, it doesn't matter who, where the power is outweighing, I guess, the resources, you can kind of take a step back and be like, you know what, I actually know a way I can do this on my own. So.
That's dope. I think what you guys are saying about opening up the field to, like, I want all the competition. I don't want to just compete against women. That's trash. Like, I want all the smoke, you know? Like, I want everyone. Like, and I grew up in the cypher culture, so it was like, it didn't matter if you were a woman or a man. Like, you come and grab the mic, and if your bars were hot, and if they weren't, you get booed, and you go sit down, and you try again next time, kid, you know? Like, and that's what it was, you know? And that made me a beast of an MC, because it didn't matter who I was competing against, I just had to be good.
segue into the next question here off of this. So we're talking about you gotta be dope. You gotta DIY, learn your shit, know your craft, hone your skill. And who in Canada has done that to you guys? Who in Canada inspires you the most?
I would say for me, women that I see out there doing it. So for me, I look at like Huawei, she raps, she sings, she plays the piano, she has a record label, she puts on shows, she DJs, she does it all herself, and she builds this community around her. And I think she's doing an amazing job. It's a great example of somebody just going out there and doing it, creating their own thing.
I gotta be honest and say it was actually Socrates. Like, he, his family, but not only that, Socrates did what a lot of Toronto people still to this day can't do, a lot of Canadian artists can't do, and that's do everything himself, build it from the ground up, and become a commodity that people wanted. Like, you know, songwriting, building melodies. If you look back to the 90s hip-hop in Toronto, early 2000s, everything was influenced, touched, directed, written, produced by Socrates.
And he crossed over
Single-handedly.
too. He was on like mainstream radio.
Yeah, he was working, you know, singing, and like, he didn't have the greatest voice, but he knew how to get into that market. And so just watching him become who he was, just knowing him as Amani to Socrates, that was very inspirational for me also. And then like, of course, DJ Mel Boogie, like the most legendary female DJ in Canada, 25 plus years, you know. She did what a lot of, you know, male DJs, period, couldn't do. You know, she's been on radio for 25 years. And she's just held it down. You know, I heard Pete Rock say to Mel Boogie, "You inspired me," and that like made me cry. Cause that was dope, you know what I mean?
So, for a female artist in Canada that both of us are just blown away by in terms of competency, drive, easily one of the most gifted people in general, you know? It's insane. She's actually performed on this stage too. It's Lido Pimienta. And she's not even a hip-hop artist, but like, I swear to God, she could murder anybody in music. She's insane. And like, the way she approaches music, the way she moves through it, she doesn't give a fuck. She was pregnant when she was up here. She was mad pregnant when she was up here. And she was like ripping the stage apart. It was insane. She was so good. And like, when we heard her before, we were like, oh, that's lit, but like, not really our thing. And we started laughing. We're like, what? If you don't like that, you're dumb. But, and then also, Snotty Nose Res Kids. In terms of like marginalized voices being represented in a really meaningful way, they're fucking awesome. Like, what? Yo, that's lit. But yeah, like, we've worked with them before, and we're gonna be doing a show with them tomorrow. Quick plug, Festival Hall, AO. But no, they're insane. They're so good, and also they're doing something that is coming from a place of passion because of who they are, which is, I think, the most important thing for any artist.
Know their shit.
Hip-hop,
Know
they
their
know
shit.
their shit.
Straight.
For real.
I wanted to also add,
Even for dudes, like, not everybody. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think one thing, like one artist that he's a male, but Daniel Caesar is killing it right now. And I think one thing a lot of artists could take from, I guess, his model of success is that your team is everything. And I had the pleasure of meeting Jordan Evans, which is like one of his 2 producers / managers. They do everything for that guy, and he has a team of people that make sure that everything around the music is right, so he could just do that amazing music that resonates with us and makes us associate with him as a fan and attach to him as a fan. I think for a lot of artists, it's really important to recognize that building that team around you that allows you to focus on the music is one of the things that can definitely allow you to focus on the music and propel you to, a greater position. So his business model, I think, is something that a lot of artists should pay attention to.
How do you guys think we can make a substantial difference in hip hop, and given all of this stuff and like kind of building that team and being able to like help and build up other artists as well and people who are coming up? It's like we have all of these ideas, or like vision, you know, like we want people to know their shit, and like that's a good idea in general, just people shit, but how do you think we can make a difference in like pushing that along?
I think women need to really assert what it is they represent, because there's this real, you know, we noticed it when we were like starting out, where people were really like, they were like, oh, you know, they do like femme trap, or they do like femme activist trap, and it's like, I'm like, you know, we just do trap, like we just do trap music, like what is this, like, you know, it's like, you know, they're like girls who do trap, and it's like, we're just making trap music, you know, and it's like to assert yourself in the way where you're like, you're equal to everyone. There's not this other little label hiding in there. That's one, and with that, another thing I noticed was, it kind of comes from, again, you know, being humbled all the time as women, and being boxed in. All the time, people are like, but do you guys also sing? And it's like, I mean, like, no, we don't, we're rappers, that's what we fucking do, we're rapping. If you're singing, you're singing. If you're doing R&B, you're playing R&B. But it's like, we're in rap, and we're specifically making trap music. But everyone's like, but you should also sing. Why the fuck? Like, are you going to a singing meal, but you should also rap? You know, it's weird. So like, assert your genre, assert your place, and like, stick to it.
Yo, that, I 100% agree with that. I hate that question.
What the fuck,
Like, it's so dumb. For me, there's two things in particular that I tell the kids that I teach, kids that I work with, or just anybody, period, not just females, males too. One thing is know the room, know who's doing what. I've seen too many male hip hop artists especially, shoot themselves in the foot because they'll go in a room and disrespect a woman in there who's the head of the label, because they don't know she's the head of the label. And I tell you right now, most people that run the label, run Spotify, run Apple, they're women. And you don't know that.
Know your shit. 100%.
So know that, because you go, I've seen men come into studio sessions and completely like disregard the lady in the room, and she's the head A&R. And like they completely shot themselves in the foot. So I always tell people, know your room. Don't just think that the girl sitting there is a groupie. She's probably the one that's signing your check. So just know the room. And number two, I always tell people, this is always gonna be my answer, barter. We don't always have money. A lot of us don't have the money to make it in this industry, so trade your talent. I tell people this all the time. J. Cole and Kanye West didn't get signed at Def Jam because they were rappers. They got signed because they were making Jay-Z's beats for 3 years before they even were allowed to make a song. So know what you can and can't do, and use certain things as a catapult to get to where you want to be. There's no shame in doing that, because Kanye West sat behind the boards making beats for the whole of Def Jam for 3 years. So
Give it up for that.
barter.
Alright, ladies, what has helped you get where you are, and what advice would you have for others who want to set off in a similar direction?
Well, I just wanted to jump in on the last point for 1 second, because just to your point about the music industry, like I've had the pleasure of working with Atlantic Records and with Julie Greenwald, and at Atlantic Records they are now over 50% women employees. And Julie runs Atlantic Records, right? And that's honestly, in my mind, like part of the reason why they're doing so well, right?
So what's helped you get where you are, and what advice would you have for others who want to set off in a similar direction?
Sure. Basically, like, don't be fucking scared. Easier said than done, but like, kind of feel yourself to the point in which you're like, right, there's a lot of people that are gonna doubt me because I'm a chick. There's a lot of people that are gonna not want me to succeed because I'm a chick and I represent so many things, like a woman of color, part of the LGBTQ plus community, and I'm trying to be a rapper. Take all of those things and use it to your advantage. When we did our first queer show, that shit fucking popped off. And so many local acts on this stage are homophobic and are misogynists. Fuck that shit, don't support that. You could do better, there's better talent around you. There's people that are smart, capable, talented, who don't talk shit about other human beings that matter in a way that degrades them. You don't have to do that. You can like degrade your competition, you can talk about a lot of shit, you can start beef, but that's completely different than this just disowning and not caring about entire segments of society. Fuck that. I took this on a different tangent, but bringing this back to like not being afraid. Fear is gonna fuck you up in any industry, but in the position in which you're performing in front of people all the time, you're talking to people all the time, you have to represent yourself all the time. Fear is just gonna hinder you, so you gotta figure that out and prioritize how to get rid of that, because it's probably the biggest hindrance. Not who you are, not what you look like. It's your fear, it's your lack of confidence.
Can I just add a 2 cents to that? I think that in my own experience, I was really young when I started like singing, making music, songwriting, getting in studios. I was about 15 when I was like serious about it. And I think like a big thing is like sometimes you also have to acknowledge, this is like the tamer side of that too, is sometimes like there were so many times when I've had to acknowledge that like, yo, I'm a student of the game at the same time. You know what I mean? Like nobody ever just comes in the game and like knows everything. I think that there's something to be said about somebody that's confident and you know what you're about and you know yourself, but at the end of the day, like this is a business at the same time. You know what I mean? And like people are everywhere and like there's a lot of people just like who are super talented that I've seen, that I know personally, that shoot themselves in the foot. It's like what Keysha was saying, it's like just because you piss off the wrong person. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes it's like finding something, having an issue and being able to be like, yo, how can I do this diplomatically? And I think to not focus on the negatives, like as a woman and like as somebody that like sometimes it's like what you were saying, like guys will have ulterior motives, but sometimes like if you're smart about that and you know that, you can kind of sometimes use that to your advantage. And I'm not saying like anything perverse, I'm just saying like, yo, like it's a mind thing at the end of the day, and like we have brains, we have intelligence.
Yeah, well that's the thing, like I feel like that's something that, like if I walk into a venue as a solo artist, I'm like real small, and people usually just make assumptions of what the set is going to be, and it's never what they get.
A big thing too, my mom used to always say like, don't be a stereotype. Like I walk into a room, I'm gonna shake your hand, I'm gonna ask you how you are, and like I'm still, like I might punch someone in the throat if I ever get there, like,
but in the audience,
and I can spit, but like, you gotta know who you're around. It's like knowing your room and knowing your audience, and you gotta like shape shift sometimes, because it's like back to that DIY shit, like it's a fucking business. You know what I mean? And like if you gotta go into a room and shake a hand and like you gotta speak a certain way sometimes and like make a certain impression, assert yourself in a certain way. And I think carrying that confidence, it just takes on a different character sometimes. And like you do have to be polite sometimes. Right?
Oh no, never be impolite. Are you fucking kidding me? That's
Don't be
insane. Don't be impolite. We have enough of that. No thanks. But like also don't play by the rules. Like any female artist that's made it for themselves has not played by the rules, because the rules are designed to hold women back. That's just the
rules
way it is.
The rules say that you're supposed to sing certain songs and wear certain outfits and this and that. I go to venues and I know when I get off the stage I'm gonna fuck up regular perception because I'm just weird and different and my bars are strong and I'm 5'1", but I rap like I'm 6'6", and I know when I go into the room that the only reason that's gonna push me here is because the expectation was I would be here. So you take that negative, and it's not that we should have to do that, but I try to utilize that as a way to create that shift, which is, I expect women to be this. Well, when I come into the room, I'm going to be this.
What advice would you give people who want to go in the same direction? I don't think you guys answered that on this side.
I mean, like, I feel for me, the biggest thing is, like, getting to a mental place where you are as confident in your music as you expect your audience to be. Those weird things you do on stage, those things you say, those things you do, those dances that you do in your mirror, like, do those things. Like, those are the things that you have to do them confidently, and you have to execute them, and you have to have no fear, because your audience can feel those things, and they can feel when you're holding back, and they can feel when you're not. And I feel for me, like, it took many years to be confident in like what I do, because I'm not a normal chick, Like in the world, the way they view you, I know that I'm not that, but I've gotten to a place where when I go on stage, I'm just like the weirdest, coolest version of myself, and then when I get off, whatever you say, cool. Because I don't know, I got confident enough, I guess, that people would respect what I do. But you have to do it for the respect of the people that actually respect what you do and not those new fans. Like, you're shifting opinions, so it's gonna take time. Like, you're changing minds, you're changing like years and years and years and years and years of opinion when you're a female and you come on stage and you rap. Like, that's just something that you're changing. Like, what entertainment is didn't really include you in the beginning. So, when you're doing these things, you have to recognize that you're shifting. You know what I mean? Like, it's history, you're rewriting history.
Yeah.
You're shifting culture and you're rewriting history, and I think that if you go into it knowing that you're doing that, you'd be a little less concerned with the individual clapback you get, because when it comes to rewriting history, you will get clapback. And once you recognize that, you know that you're making effective change in doing so.
Are we gonna hand for that one? What are common misconceptions people have, and how can we combat these misconceptions and communicate more effectively?
Ooh, my question, the last question and that question was, as a white MC, I think white people are a guest to hip hop, and that's really fucking important that they know that, yo. Like that you know that. And that's not something that like should feel fucking weird. Like it should feel good. You're a guest in this culture, and you have to be an ally on and off the stage, always. Like first and foremost. You know? Like first and foremost. It's not even like give you a hand type thing. Like it's just something that I say at all of my own solo shows, and I'll say to every white person in this room. Like, if you are a part of hip-hop as an MC, as a breaker, as a graffiti artist in any element, you should know your roots, you should know your culture, you should know what's going on with the community, both on and off the stage, and know your shit and check your privilege and know when to shut the fuck up. Like, it's really important.
Respect.
I fuck with you.
Respect.
Okay, so my answer is not nearly as cool as that, but what's one thing I wish people knew about my job is that it's not always cool or fun. Sometimes when I tell people what I do, they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, that's so cool. Some nights, you know, when I'm in the office in front of my computer at 10 p.m. and I'm eating Cheerios from the cafeteria for dinner, like, it's not that cool. I'm not complaining, I get to do amazing things, but sometimes it really is a job and it really is a grind, so be prepared for that if you want to be in this industry for sure.
Yep.
Hip hop has ruined a lot of my relationships. Hip hop has ruined a lot of my friendships.
One time for the people in the back.
Family friendships, you know, just friendships with people I grew up with. Hip hop has got me kicked out of my house. Hip hop has got me in a lot of trouble. Hip hop saved my life. Hip hop changed my life. And it's just, you gotta take the good with the bad. And if you really love it, which a lot of people don't, a lot of these rappers want to be rich. There's some of us that really just want to make music, and we have a story to tell, and that's what's important. And I want people to understand that this is not just something that it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. This is not something that you just wake up and say you're gonna do. I've been performing for 21 years. I'm 26 years old. So I've always been on the stage, and I've never wavered, no matter how much money I made or not. So, you know, you just have to be ready for that. And to be honest with you, 99% of your friends are not. They're not ready to break up with their girlfriend. They're not ready to choose going to a show or talking to their friend on the phone before they commit suicide. People aren't ready for those things. And there's a burden that we carry. There's a burden that we carry. We lose sleep, as you know, she mentioned we lose sleep. We don't sleep. We don't see our family. You know, there's times where we're traveling, we're on tour, and I just miss my boyfriend. I miss my nephew, my godkids, and you know, there's nothing you can do because we chose this, and I choose it every time. So that's one of my biggest takeaways is when you make this choice to do this, you have to be a strong person because it will break you.
Yeah. And break everything around you. Yeah.
Right? I think in terms of stereotyping,
like I'm trying not to.
Allergies.
That's so real.
I thought that was allergies. But in terms of like stereotyping and stereotypes, like it's right in front of you. It's in front of your face. You stereotype everyone you see. Like, we're brown, we're women, we're queer. There's a whole bunch of stereotypes and assumptions that we know we're reckoning with every time we come on stage. And that's fine, because we'll meet those head on by the quality of our performance and the level of confidence that we have in our art. And as long as you have those things, you can fuck up any stereotype you want, and you should. Fuck that shit, dumb.
Yo, I fuck with you.
Alright. Okay, do you remember a specific experience where you wished that hip hop had done something differently? If you were to do it over, what would you change?
Oh God. I wish hip hop would stop caping for pedophiles. I wish that when that whole Africa Bambaataa situation happened, a lot more people talked about it, and a lot more people put more scrutiny on that, rather than straddling the fence or staying away from it because that's their friend or they know him or that's who they looked up to their whole life. I wish people choose the right side of history on hip hop rather than their favorite side of history on hip hop, because we have to start calling out misogynist, sexist, pedophilia, homophobia in hip hop for anyone to be comfortable and be in a safe space. So I wish that in history we definitely deal with those situations a little bit better.
I wish we would battle more. I wish we would stop with the Twitter beef and just actually take back to the bar. That was a big part of the culture. That is still a big part of the culture, but that historically was a huge part of the culture. It's like, if we want to settle something, we're gonna battle. You know, we're not gonna tweet about it. I'm not gonna talk to my girls about it and then come back and subtweet some gif and the whole thing. It's like, let's just settle it right here.
I completely agree with like calling out the bullshit, the assholes, like fucking expose that shit. Get that out there because we don't need that. Alongside that, punishing artists that haven't done anything wrong because of cancel culture. Like, cancel culture has its perks where we're noticing dipshits like R. Kelly and we're like, you're done, hopefully. But there's also enough people that we don't listen to the full case, we don't know the full story, and then shit goes on, their career is ruined, we don't know why anymore. And so that's also equally important. We've canceled a lot of people that we haven't needed to. We've canceled a lot of people that could have just been taught a lesson. So that's also important.
Trey, you've been really quiet for a moment. Do you have anything to add?
Well, you know, I'm learning a lot, which is great. But I think a lot of these things, some of the things that I'm thinking about right now is the position of power. That's how we started this conversation. And myself, say, as a producer, engineer, producer, manager, like I want to maybe say to all the guys out there, if you're in that position of power, somebody's coming to you and hoping, like, we all have dreams, right? Like, we're trying to live our dream, and somebody is coming to you because they have a dream and they need your help, they need your support to try to realize that dream. And now you're in a position of power, and you need to understand what a delicate thing that is. Like, you really need to understand that, like, choose your words really carefully. I fuck up all the time. I say something and I'm like, fuck, like, that is so thoughtless. You know, I hear shit coming out of my own mouth. And it's great that now, like, with some of the stuff that's been happening in the news, and Me Too and all of that stuff, I think a lot of guys are rethinking their language. Like, we really need to choose our words really, really carefully.
Just people watch. It's like the ally thing. You know what I mean? Just people watch.
I don't know that I have anything else to add to that, except for I think that when you have really strong females in your life that you respect as a man, then that respect translates to other females that you're working with. So we should all be so lucky I have a really strong mother and really strong, fucking awesome sisters. So they've been really great examples for me, and I'm far from perfect, but at least I have those as examples. So I'm just thankful for that.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up here. Is there any last words of advice, or anything that anybody wants to add before we close up here?
Shout out to all you guys for coming out. I really want to stress like how important it is to see a mixed audience of men and women here tonight, and just kind of just listening and engaging in conversation, and all of the panelists. Like, I learned a lot. Like, just listening to all of you guys kind of give your insight, and it's just reassuring that we got sisters in this, and we're really in this together, and we can just push the culture forward. But we do need allies, we do need support, and that's it.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for participating in the Ladies First discussion panel. She came, she saw, she conquered. We came, we saw, we conquered. Give it up for yourselves in the audience.